Wow, Holly Jolly Host. I love the sound of that. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in. Those of you that are out there listening to us live from the WARA 1320 AM studios right here in the heart of the Bristol and Norfolk State Senate District in Attleboro, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for joining in. We're also live streaming, I believe, on your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook Live. Hopefully that's working out. I do have a face for radio, but we wanted to bring in a little bit of visual medium as well. So thank you all for tuning in. I got to be honest with you. I have zero idea what I am doing today, working and hosting a radio show. You know, just to give you a little bit of background on what we're doing, every year for the last few years anyways, my staff and I and volunteers and so many people throughout the district have been getting together to do a gift card drive for a New Hope Incorporated, which is an incredible organization here in the Attleboro area and throughout this region in the Commonwealth. And, you know, we wanted to raise some donations and continue to raise awareness. So as we looked at what we were going to do this year around the holiday season, we said, you know what? Why don't we change it up a little bit? Let's have some fun. Let's do something that we've never really done before. And have our own holiday spectacular radio show. And, of course, when we came up with the idea, my staff looked at me and said, we're going to do what? What are you thinking, Paul? So, but here we are, and I can't thank Jim Jones enough and the staff here at WARA for helping us put this on. This could be a couple of hours of a train wreck, or it could be the most fun you've ever had in your life. And I think the latter, we are going to have some fun with this today. We have incredible guests calling in. Over the next 2 hours. We're going to be here till 5 p.m., raising awareness for New Hope Incorporated, having some lighthearted conversations with our friends in politics and entertainment and sports, and just kind of having a great time. Think of this as your radio holiday party. As everybody's going out over these couple of weeks and having a holiday party and standing around and talking about the things that we do around the holidays, that's what we're trying to do here today. Yes, everybody knows that I can talk policy for hours upon hours upon hours, whether it's housing or transportation or taxes or health care and all those things that we all care about that I certainly do as a state senator. We wanted to just kind of take a couple of hours and have some conversations and lighten it up, talk about some holiday traditions, and answer our favorite question, is Die Hard a Christmas movie, yes or no? Those hard-hitting questions that we all want to know about. So with that, again, I want to welcome everybody to this show. We're going to have a lot of fun. You're certainly not going to want to miss this. We're here till 5 p.m., and we're going to have some surprise guests as well. And with that, to kind of set the table, as I said, this program is twofold, really. One, we want to have a little bit of just kind of a political roundtable conversation, like I said, kind of a radio holiday party. But number two, we want to raise awareness and hopefully some donations for New Hope Incorporated. New Hope is an amazing organization. They do incredible work for so many people. And I know that the donations that I'm going to try and raise today from this radio show, fueled by your generosity and those calling, will be successful in supporting those that need our help. So the way this is going to work is we're going to bring in some guests. We're going to have a conversation. For every special invited guest that comes onto the radio today, I'm going to make a donation to New Hope. And that's how we're going to raise some funds and hopefully awareness. So with that, I want to bring on our first guest. I got to know Deanna Mancera as she took over New Hope from Marsha Szymanski, who everybody in this area knows throughout this district. But Deanna is the president and CEO of New Hope Incorporated. I believe she's wrapping up her first year. She's got quite a history in making sure that we are doing everything we can to fight sexual and domestic violence and to make sure that people have the resources that they need. So with that being said, I am thrilled to welcome Deanna Mancera, the president and CEO of New Hope. Deanna, thank you so much for joining us today. How's it going?
Thank you so much, Senator, for inviting me and for inviting New Hope to be part of this. And thank you for that intro as well. And but who's counting? Yes, almost a year. I believe it's February will be my first year at New Hope. So I'm very excited to be part of this amazing team and really just follow what Marsha Szymanski left. My predecessor. She did a lot of work, and I'm happy to share a couple of the highlights that I kind of took over after her. But again, thank you so much for having us. I'm very excited to be part of this, and the fact that you continue every year just thinking about us and the survivors that we work with. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Deanna. I appreciate all the work that you do. I mean, it's incredible. I know it's not easy work that you do, and quite often, you face a lot of different challenges. And however we can be helpful, I know we want to do that. But, as we're sitting here today talking to you about New Hope Incorporated, of course, everybody here in Attleboro, I think, knows, a lot of what the organization does. Your headquarters is here. You do a lot of work here, but you are spread through many municipalities throughout the Commonwealth. Can you just tell our listeners, people that are tuning in today, kind of what are some of the services that you provide at New Hope, and what is your role?
Absolutely. So we are a nonprofit organization that provides support and resources to sexual assault and domestic violence survivors, their loved ones, and their communities, because we know that victims and survivors of sexual and domestic violence are not the only ones impacted by it, but their loved ones, their children, and also the communities where they live in. We also know that, the survivors and the victims that walk into our doors, the violence didn't happen in a vacuum, and they also have other things and other issues that they have experienced, and the intersections where they live in with. So we really think about where those intersections cross. So we really focus on really centering also the most impacted by violence, which we know that historically some folks have, experienced marginalization differently than other folks. So we really think about our work and the services that we provide through a lens of racial and gender equity. Think about folks with disabilities, LGBTQIA, immigrants and refugees, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. And, a couple of the things around our services, some of you may know that we have a 24-hour confidential hotline. We have also 2 emergency shelters, which I will share a little bit about some amazing news around our shelter. We provide counseling services. We have a program called Safe Plan, which is actually supported by the Massachusetts Office of Victim Assistance, and that provides support to survivors and victims at the court, as well as with civilian police advocates, so folks who work at the police departments. So we're just there to support them and navigate through the systems that are very complex to do. We also have supervised visitation spaces. We have what we call the Housing and Stability program, which provides folks with funds for things that, some of our grants may not be able to cover. So one of the things that, when you talked about the gift cards, I was very excited when your staff reached out to me about this, because I was like, this is a great opportunity to increase that housing and stabilization program that we have, which really supports things, again, that our grants don't oftentimes, which are related to rent, utilities, basic needs that oftentimes with other donations we are not able to cover. So, those are a little bit about our services, and happy to share a little bit more about some of the amazing news as well, but just kind of wanted to start there.
Yeah, no, Deanna, you do incredible work, and I can't imagine, when you're talking about the situations that people find themselves in, survivors, and it's not, as you said, it's not in a vacuum, right? This isn't a silo. This isn't something that happened to somebody. It's something that's ongoing and really affects people in just a lot of different ways. And one of the things that I've always been just so impressed with is, that you've been able to do that New Hope, isn't just kind of a one-size-fits-all, this is the way that we serve people. It's that we really meet people where they are. And I think that's been a successful model for you all, and something we want to be able to support going forward. So with that, I am thrilled to do this today, to have kind of a lighthearted, fun show, but with a very serious mission, and that's to raise awareness. So just before I let you go, and hopefully you get to listen in and you get to hear from people. We have Senator Elizabeth Warren actually just about to join us. We have Congressman Auchincloss and many local officials that I know have been very supportive of New Hope in the past in trying to raise some funding and secure some priority money earmarks for the new shelter. But before I let you go, I would love to let our listeners know how they can get in touch with New Hope. Number one, if they want to make a donation, if they want to help out, is there a website that they can go to, and how can they help you do your work?
Yes, absolutely. So before you let me go, I just want to quickly share, since we are in this spirit of celebration, and the program is also about celebration and really just giving shout out to the amazing work that we do here as well. One of the things that we're really excited to share is that we are building actually a new shelter that is going to have a 14-unit space, and we're really excited about that. And with your support and the support that all the folks that you're actually having as your guest speakers as well, we were able to get some funding from HUD, $2 million earmark for the project. We also were able to secure some funding through the Executive Housing Office of Housing and Liable Communities, which I believe it was formerly known as the Department of Housing and Community Development.
Right.
So yeah, we were able to get funding from them, and Marcia also raised a lot of funding through our capital campaign to really get this done. We currently have 12 units, but moving through a 14 unit, it's going to allow us to support more families, more children, and more women. So we're really excited about that piece. But the way that you can reach out to us, we have a 24-hour hotline, and you can call at any time. So for all the survivors listening to us right now, please know that you're not alone. New Hope is here to support you. And you can call at 1-800-323-4673. Again, 1-800-323-4673.
Amazing. Deanna, I got to tell you, I still think the world of Marcia, and you hit the ground running. I know there were big shoes to fill over at New Hope, but you're doing amazing work. It's a cause that's close to my heart. I really appreciate what you and your team do on a daily basis, and I want to make sure that people know that they can support you, and also that if anybody needs help, that there is somebody there to answer that call at New Hope. You do incredible work, my friend. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And I'm going to tell you, as anybody calls in today, we're going to ring the bells. We get some jingle bells as we're celebrating the holidays today, and we're going to make a donation to New Hope. So thank you so much for all that you do, and we will talk soon.
Thank you so much, Senator.
All right. Thank you very much. That was Deanna Mancera, the president and CEO of New Hope Incorporated, which is one of the major reasons why we are here today. We're celebrating the holidays. We're having some fun. This is your radio holiday party, but we're also trying to raise awareness for those survivors of domestic and sexual violence and make sure that we're raising some donations. And I got to tell you, I am so thrilled to welcome our next guest to the show today. I started off by telling you as we open the show that I have no idea what I'm doing running a radio show, and I rely on so many people that are absolutely pros to kind of steer the conversations. And to have this next guest with us today, not only an incredible advocate for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, she has been a leader in the United States Senate. I have just, for the last, I believe it's what were we talking now, 12, 13 years since she's been in the United States Senate and been able to see all the things that she does. And I think the last time I was with this next guest, we were fighting for working people. So it is a great pleasure to bring on the line our United States Senator, Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator, my friend, it's great to hear you. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Oh, thank you, Paul. It is so good to be here with you and be here both to celebrate the holidays and have some fun, but also to raise a little money and a lot of awareness for the terrific work at New Hope. So you just give me a real shot in the arm this afternoon that you're doing both of these things at once. I'm happy. Thank you, Senator.
You are an amazing human being, and I got to tell you, I think the last time I was with you, we were on a picket line together over in Mansfield fighting for the UAW workers. And it's just, you know, every time I see you, you just give us all kind of a little jolt of energy, and the way that you do your job is just, I can't thank you enough.
Well, you're very sweet, but you know, I love the work we were doing together. To see the guys out on and gals out on the picket line for the UAW, and to see what happens. You know, when working people fight, working people win, and that's the takeaway I get from the UAW strike. And it was a chance for working people to say, you know, we've just had it. We're in there, we're working it over and over and over. We're producing profits for these big auto companies. And where's all the money going? It's going to a handful of top-paid executives and rich investors, and they keep squeezing the workers on the line, the union members, to say, oh, you know, can't give you a raise this year. In fact, you've got to give up a little. And we're going to have two tiers here. People who get hired on new are going to get paid less. And finally, to have somebody come in like Sean Fain and just say, enough, we're not doing this anymore. And we help produce those profits, and we want a fair share of the profits we're producing. And that's, to me, that was what was so exciting about being out on the picket line with you. And, you know, I understand it's a little bit mixed about what came out of this for Mansfield, and that there's going to be some reorganizing there. But overall, these are working people fighting for working people. And it helps unions, but it also helps non-union workforce as well. Right. A lot of folks at other plants, other auto plants and other manufacturing, they got raises right after the UAW settled those contract negotiations. So to me, Paul, it's like what you're doing today. It's the reminder we can have a lot of good people, but we're a lot stronger when we fight side by side, and we got a lot more done. And that's true when we're out on the picket line, and it's true when you and I are here together and saying a place like New Hope needs our help. So thank you for running this afternoon. I'm going to sign up and make a contribution to New Hope, and I hope the folks who are listening to us will do the same.
Thank you, Senator. So I have to ring the bells for a donation to New Hope, and I want to, you know, look, you hit it right on the head. I mean, it's, you know, people kind of joining together and saying enough is enough. You know, we have a lot of work to do in this country, and you have been a leader. You know, just joining with those UAW workers as we did on multiple occasions in Mansfield. You know, you start to realize, and I've been there, Senator, right? That when you go out on strike, it's the last thing you want to do. There's a lot of trepidation, but when you see people like, you know, United States Senator of your stature show up and say, look, I'm with you, not only here, you know, to just walk the picket line, it's not just a photo op, but I'm actually doing the work for you in the United States Senate. That is invaluable, and I really think it empowers working people to be able to take that step and to stand up for themselves. So, you know, and with that being said, too, I think that was when we saw each other in Mansfield, but then you were down here. We're live in studio at WARA in Attleboro. You were down and joined myself and Representative Hawkins and the crew down at Sandcastle Estates to talk about kind of what they're going through and how you see corporations buying up these mobile home parks and you know, and putting the squeeze on them. And, you know, you were very gracious with your time that day, and I thought you had a lot of good things to say. Give us your thoughts on kind of what they're going through down at Sandcastle and what we can do to help.
You know, I so much appreciate your raising this. This is one of these cases where people they got fixed income, most of them are retired. They have manufactured housing, they have it on a lot, and they rent the ground space and have really built a community at Sandcastle. Then Wall Street comes in, they call it private equity, comes in, they buy out the management company, and then raised rents. You sat there with me and heard it. Raised rents by 75% in that place. And we really, literally had people had budgeted carefully, knew what they could afford, were doing fine. And all of a sudden they're in a place where they have to think about, am I going to be able to pay my rent, or am I going to be able to pay for my medications? Am I going to be able to put food on the table? Yeah. And people who who got squeezed out. And, you know, the Wall Street Corporation didn't care. They're just looking for the profits and how many dollars they can wring out. And you know what really gets me? Not only do they increase the rent, it's not like they make the place any better.
Right.
You know, they come in, they slap one coat of paint on one of the buildings, and then that's it. They're not doing the maintenance they need to be doing. This is just profiteering. And at the end of the day, we've got a real problem, housing affordability. Right here in Massachusetts, we need about 200,000 more housing units. I call them housing units because that means single-family homes, condos, townhouses, apartments. And what kind do we need? The answer is every kind.
All of it.
We need first-time home buyers, housing for seniors, housing for people with disabilities. We need housing for everybody. And what we've got right now is Wall Street has figured that out, and they're moving in. They're buying up houses for cash and turning them into rental properties. That makes it harder and harder for young families to get started. They're trying to buy a house. How do you compete with an all-cash offer?
Right.
So what I'm working on down in Washington is how we put some curbs around what it is that Wall Street can do as it comes in and tries to reap more profits out of an already overloaded housing market. I'm also working on trying to get more money in, more support, so that we can help build more housing here in Massachusetts. And like I say, it's housing of every kind. It's not that the federal government should come in and tell people what to build, but they should come in and be a good partner to the good people at Sandcastle. By the way, I just gave a speech on this on Monday morning to the whole New England Council about this and trying to get some people to help me on this. And I talked about Sandcastle and the residents there because it's these personal stories of what's happening to your friends and my friends right here in Massachusetts that we need to fight back. And just like we walk the picket line together, just like we show up for New Hope together, we're going to show up and we're going to change some of these rules around housing and get more investment in housing, get more supply in housing, because people got to have a safe place for home. Young people have got to be able to buy a home. Seniors have got to be able to live in their homes, not be shuffled off to places they don't want to be. So all of that is about getting enough supply and keeping it affordable.
Senator, you are speaking my language, my friend, as you normally do.
As I know, because you're the best, Paul.
No,
you really
listen,
do.
Listen, we have a good team here in Massachusetts, and I know, everybody, especially with the Healy Driscoll administration, and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll is going to be joining us next. We're all kind of moving in the same direction and pushing for the things that matter to working people and to people on a fixed income and, those that are feeling the squeeze. And you are our leader, my friend, as our senior senator. No, as our senior senator, and we need you.
Paul, I do want to say it is terrific that we're all pulling in the same direction. Mm-hmm. We're pulling on the oars together. And the Healy Driscoll administration on housing, boy, if you were handing out grades, you'd give an A+. And I got to mention one more. Talk about working together. Did you see? We just got $372 million.
Amazing.
To get started on building the Cape Cod bridges. And look, it's not everything we need, but a $372 million commitment from the federal government means the federal government's going to be a good partner here to the state, and we're going to get both those bridges done. I'm feeling good about it.
We are joined live by Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator, when they said that couldn't be done, I knew that you would get in there and fight, and you persisted, my friend, and I know you've heard that before. So thank you for that, and I want to, just thank you again for all that you do, but for joining us today on this little experiment that we're doing, having this kind of holiday radio show. And I want to know, before we let you go, you have possibly the most famous golden retriever, I think, out there. And we want to know, has Bailey been a good boy? And is Bailey going to get a gift or maybe steal some more food off the counter this year? What do you expect around the holidays?
Oh, Bailey has been, he is literally, as I'm talking to you, Paul, I'm standing here in the kitchen and Bailey is asleep right next to me. Just opened one eye when he heard his name. But I want you to know, Bailey has been a good boy.
A good boy. That's good to know. That's good to know.
And he's expecting a visit from Santa. So it's coming his way.
Excellent. Well, Senator Warren, again, thank you so much for joining us today and for all that you do. It is an absolute honor and pleasure to work with you for the people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I wish you a happy holidays, and hopefully you get some time to relax with Bruce and take care of Bailey and give him some belly rubs, and we'll talk to you soon.
Will do. Thanks for having me, Paul. And again, thanks for doing this. You are a great partner for me and for all the people of the Commonwealth. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so
Happy
much.
holidays.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
That was Senator Elizabeth Warren joining us on Senator Paul Feeney's first ever holiday spectacular here, live from the studios of WARA 1320 AM here in Attleboro. I can't say enough about the work that Senator Warren's doing. And let me tell you, anybody that has any doubts, like I said, she came down to Sandcastle, talked to the folks at that mobile home park after Representative Jim Hawkins talked to her over and over and over again about it, and Rep. Hawkins leading on that issue with Senator Warren, myself in the state Senate. Hopefully we can get to a positive resolution for those folks and others similarly situated. With that, you heard me just mention with Senator Elizabeth Warren the Healy-Driscoll administration and the work that they're doing here in Massachusetts, wrapping up a very, very eventful first year in office. But we are blessed to be joined today by our Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll. I got to tell you, I have seen Lieutenant Governor Driscoll probably more times in the last couple of weeks than I've seen my wife. It's been amazing to see her all over the Bristol and Norfolk district. And I know that when she leaves my district, she's going to probably 5 or 6 other events throughout Massachusetts. She's been accessible and available. I think her time as mayor, as a local elected official, has really instilled in her how important it is to be out in the communities. But when we talk about housing, when we talk about economic development, we talk about the competitiveness of Massachusetts, that is being led by our Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll, and it's great to have her on the line. Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, you just can't shake me. Everywhere we see each other, now we're on the radio together. Thank you so much for joining in today.
Paul, people are going to talk, I think. I don't know. Company because you normally have got things going on that we can be a strong partner to. So grateful to be here as part of this holiday radio show. I can't believe it's the first. I've been listening in, and I don't know what you're doing.
Listen, I have no idea what I'm doing. And Kim, in this job too, you find yourself shaking your head sometimes saying, how did I get myself into this? Right? Just as normal people as we are, and then you go into a life of public service. Sometimes you find yourself in situations you never thought you'd be in. But today we're trying to have a little fun. We're having some kind of lighthearted conversations, talking a little policy, little politics, but really just trying to, kind of have some lighthearted talk and bring awareness to New Hope Incorporated of Attleboro, and really support the work that they're doing for domestic and sexual survivors, sexual violence survivors. So I can't thank you enough for being on with us today. I'm going to make a donation in your name to New Hope for joining us today, and just can't thank you enough. But one of the things I mentioned, Lieutenant Governor, is you made history this year as Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts, and as we look up and down all the constitutional officers, we see almost all women, and really I think hit the ground running this year. How has it been? Have you, anything has been unexpected? I know certainly you're dealing with a lot of challenges, but how has this year been for you?
Yeah, thanks so much, Paul. One, for having me on, for doing this, and thank you for making a donation in my name. I am going to match that so we can double that donation.
Thank you. We ring the bells when we get that.
Yeah, exactly. And the work that New Hope is doing is so important in community. I certainly know the value of that, and I only wish we had more of them, right? And so the least I can do is match the donation. It's been a great year. It's been a fast year. I feel so fortunate to be partnered up with Governor Healy in doing this work, somebody who is capable and compassionate and fearless and is really leading our team on some of the success we've had throughout the year, whether it's, tax breaks particularly for children and family and for seniors at a time when we know affordability is just everyone's number one issue. The things we're doing to make higher ed more affordable, from things like free community college for anyone over the age of 25. Paul, I'm still astounded the number of folks who don't know that. So please, anyone who's over the age of 25 in Massachusetts can attend community college for free, which is terrific because it gives you a way to obtain a credential, maybe move forward, be able to better provide for your family, or go back to college if you never had the opportunity to attend right when you may have graduated from high school. We've made meals free. And this is, I should really say that none of this work is done alone. It's done in partnership with the legislature. You have been a key ally in so much of these efforts, and it's all geared towards making a Commonwealth that works for and welcomes all. It's more competitive, more affordable, and more equitable. And for communities like Attleboro, a gateway city, we know the stakes are even higher. And so we're leaning in on the work. A year went by fast, and we're optimistic about what we can do going forward.
Amazing. No, in all that work, I know it's just kind of one thing after another, right? When you try and address one issue, you try and move on to the next issue, and it's just kind of everything happening at once. And you've had quite a year, a lot of challenges, obviously, around the MBTA and transportation. But one of the things that I've really been so impressed by with you and Governor Haley has been how bold you've been on housing. And I know you have a housing bond bill that's been proposed, and I'm hoping, and talking to my colleagues, that we can get kind of a quick process and get that into a public hearing, and then really start digging in. And you heard Senator Warren before you, talking about how we have to do all of it. I've been using the phrase everywhere I go throughout my district. I said, to borrow the title of an Oscar-winning film, when it comes to housing, we need to do everything everywhere all at once, right? I mean, it's from market rate housing, workforce housing, certainly, subsidized housing, low-income housing, all of it. And that's something I think, when we talk about the competitiveness of Massachusetts, that's what we need to be doing. And you've been leading that effort with the governor as well. And, hopefully we can get that bond bill done soon. I think I saw you just a few days ago in Foxborough, where we announced we're going to be doing some senior housing there. And certainly throughout our district, we're looking for places to develop and have those public-private partnerships to be able to make that happen. But, your thoughts on what we need to be doing for housing and kind of some of the steps that you've been taking.
I think the partnership is so key when it comes to housing. We were with Mayor DeSimone just earlier this year touring the area next to the MBTA station. There's another South Attleboro MBTA station. Where can we partner housing and growth in places where it makes sense for communities? How can we provide that technical assistance that we know is so vital? Housing production plans, smart growth zoning tools, so that we can build the housing that we need. And if we don't, there's a lot at stake. Housing is such a big part of why people find Massachusetts so unaffordable, or such a high cost state, and why, unfortunately, some people are choosing to go elsewhere. So building the type of housing we need, and you said it best, we need all of it. More market rate, more housing for folks who want to grow old and age in place with dignity and respect. The good news is we're all living longer. The bad news is we're the type of housing we need, or enough of it. And it's only making the housing we do have, more expensive, a basic sort of principle of supply and demand. So we want to maintain the housing we have, all the affordable housing that exists that needs investment. We want to leverage public land, be that near MBTAs or community-owned land. We're reaching out to our local leaders and saying, where can you put housing that makes sense? Where can we co-locate housing? We've got lots of higher ed and hospitals that we may be able to, identify spaces we can build housing. And then how do we support that as a state? And that's what that housing bond bill is about, both policies to dollars, to ways that we can ensure we're being more equitable about who can own a home and what communities that we hope will say yes. And so far, we're excited about some of the progress that's made. The MBTA Communities Act, which requires smart growth zoning in those places. We've had a number of communities already have submitted their plans and are well on their way to adopting their zoning. So I think everywhere we're at, people realize housing is a challenge, whether it's a tiny town in Western Mass or a place that's been on the Cape and everywhere in between. So this is an all of us and an opportunity. And if we don't build the housing we need, we think it's really going to have a negative impact on the Commonwealth. So we're leaning in hard, and grateful to have you as an ally in that work.
Well said. Well, you certainly have a partner in me. You know that we've we've been trying to do what we can in the legislature for many, many years, but the answer isn't to just kind of nibble around the edges when it comes to these issues. We really got to be bold, and that's what it's been a shot in the arm to have you and Governor Haley, quite frankly, say, look, this has to be our approach. And I think a lot of kind of the status quo. This is the way we've always done things. People are starting to realize that got us into this mess, and we need to work hard to get out of it. So I appreciate your approach to that, Lieutenant Governor. And I got to say, I joked earlier about, I've seen you a lot over the last couple of weeks, but really over the last year, you have been all over the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And we had a particular fun visit to Attleboro. You mentioned coming down and touring the TOD area with myself and Rep. Hawkins and Rep. Scanlon and the mayor. And then we stopped for hot dogs at Tex Barry's in Attleboro. And I want to know, you've been all over Massachusetts. What are the best hot dogs you've had, and why is the answer Tex Barry's in Attleboro?
I will tell you, that was a pretty good hot weenie, I believe it's called, right? To Texas for sure. The smallest place I've ever had a hot dog, I will say that.
It was cozy. Yeah, it was definitely cozy.
But big flavor. And I love the authenticity of the place, right? Like, it's been there for a while, and you know it when you walk in. The number of folks who were doing takeout, to be able to support Tex Barry's in a way that we have for the number of decades. That's about the community, right? That means love in Tex Barry's, in my mind.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a staple in the area. I get so many great places throughout my district. I always get nervous mentioning them because I don't want to miss them. I mean, you can go for ice cream up at Crescent Ridge or Bliss, and it's great place. But I want to thank you so much. I do want to, before I let you go, not to get too controversial, but I did notice on your Twitter account, your X account, I guess they call it, recently, you had written that Home Alone is the best holiday movie, hands down, and there was no argument. Do you really believe that Home Alone is the best holiday movie out there, Lieutenant Governor?
I mean, it's a classic, okay? You got to love Home Alone. I do love a good leg lamp. The Christmas Story was a close second, but Home Alone's where it's at.
I love it. I'll tell you a quick story. My brother, it's only the two of us. It's me and Kevin. Kevin's 11 years younger than me. So he was obsessed. And when you get, kids are younger, they if they like a movie or they like a show, they watch it about 700 times a week. Well, my brother was obsessed with Home Alone, which meant that the only thing that I could watch on TV was Home Alone, literally nonstop, when he was younger. So I am a fan of it. But, we're going to, I don't know if I'll say it's the best holiday movie. It's definitely in my top three. But
what's running the competition for you?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm partial to kind of, I like Elf, right? I think Elf is a good one. I think there's some good lines in that. And I got to tell you, one of the questions we've been asking people too is the age-old controversy: is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And I think the people of Massachusetts would want to know if their lieutenant governor believes that Die Hard is actually a Christmas movie or not.
Who does not think Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
That's the right answer.
Yes.
That is the right answer, Kim. Die Hard is absolutely a Christmas movie. It is not Christmas until I'm watching somebody fall from Nakatomi Plaza. That is the start to my Christmas holiday. So, Lieutenant Governor, you've been unbelievable with your time today, calling in, having some fun with us. I appreciate the work that you're doing on a daily basis across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You and the governor have been great partners, certainly to me, on behalf of the people of our district here. And I look forward to continuing our work together to make things better for people. And as we celebrate the holidays, and I have an attitude of gratitude, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for all that you're doing on behalf of the people of our district and the people of Massachusetts. And I hope you have a great New Year and a happy holidays. And I'm sure we will see each other running around the state soon.
Thanks, Senator Feeney. Well, Governor and I both feel grateful to be able to work with you. So cheers to a 2024 that's prosperous, where we're all healthy, moving the ball forward for our Commonwealth.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, really appreciate her calling in. This is the first ever Senator Paul Feeney's Holiday Spectacular radio show, live from WARA 1320 AM here in Attleboro, in the heart of the Bristol and Norfolk State Senate District. I'm just blown away by all the support from people calling in. Look, I mentioned this earlier in the program. We are trying to have a nice conversation. Think about this as kind of like your radio holiday party, but we're also trying to raise awareness for New Hope Incorporated, who do incredible work for survivors of domestic and sexual violence. We heard earlier from Deanna Mancera, President and CEO at New Hope, of all the work that they're doing. And then, of course, trying to raise awareness and some donations. And I've been committing donations to everybody, on behalf of everybody that calls in today, to New Hope. So that's what we're trying to do today, and we have some incredible callers calling in to be a part of this. I am grateful from the bottom of my heart for everybody that's part of it, and to you all for listening, for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook Live, if you're listening on 1320 AM, if you are on the WARA website, however it is that you're tuning in or listening today, you are a part of this. I am having an absolute blast, and I can't tell you how excited I am for our next guest. I don't want to give away my age, but I'll tell you, kind of maybe born in the late 70s, part of a generation that they call it the Xennials. It's like a micro generation, right? And I tell people all the time, especially the younger generation, I get a young staff, by the way, they're all here helping me out today. It was not always what we see today when it comes to Boston sports teams, right? I mean, it was, when I was growing up, we had the Bruins, and the Bruins were like, that was it, the big bad Bruins, and you'd see them constantly, in the playoffs and fighting for a Stanley Cup, and then it was, when I was growing up, that's what it was all about. My mother actually happened to be a huge Bruins fan as well, so it was always on, and the Patriots were god-awful. The Red Sox were always a disappointment, right? It was about the Bruins. Of course, we had the Celtics, but in my house it was the Bruins. So our next guest, really for me, I remember watching him skate, watching him play. I even remember a few of his fights, which as a hockey player, you always going to have some YouTube videos out there that live on for generations. But not only did he play for the Boston Bruins, but Bob Sweeney is now the president of the Boston Bruins Foundation. He's been involved in the foundation. The charitable work that they've been doing at the Bruins is absolutely just incomparable. And that is being led by Bob Sweeney. He played many years in the NHL. And I'm going to say this, but I have to say it quietly because my chief of staff who's with me today is BU alum. And our next guest was the pride of Boston College from the Boston Bruins, president of Boston Bruins Foundation. Please welcome to the airwaves, Bob Swoop Sweeney. Bob, how you doing, my friend?
Thank you, Senator. And that's okay. Not everybody can get into BC. That's fine. Some people have to go to BU. So.
Well, he started to laugh, Bob, but I think it's turning into a teardrop. He may be crying now on that. Swoop, thank you so much for calling in and being a part of this. And I got to tell you, I was a fan of you, growing up and watching some of those epic games, and you were such a part of that. And to be able to talk to you today is a real honor. But even since then, since you've hung up the skates, you've been such an integral part of the Boston Bruins Foundation and the work that they do. Can you talk to us a little bit about the foundation and kind of what your role is and what they do out in our communities?
Well, thank you for the kind words, first of all. Yeah, the foundation is turning 20. I think, as everybody knows, this is the centennial season of the Boston Bruins. So we've had some events that kicked off the year. We had a big centennial gala right after our first home game. We brought back, I think, 50 prominent Bruins. We unveiled the all-time Bruins team, which was amazing. And now we've had different era nights. We just had Terry O'Reilly's the Lunch Pail Gang in this past weekend. It was great to see those guys, John Winsink, Stan Jonathan, Al Seacourt, to name a few, and obviously Terry. So, it's been a special year. And the foundation, as I said, is turning 20. And, one of the things, that we take a lot of pride in is, helping out organizations. I'm on my way to Lawrence as we speak to the Boys and Girls Club to give away some winter coats for kids that can't afford them. called Operation Warmth, and we partner with the PFFM, and I'll be with Rich McKinnon, the president of the firefighters, and it's always a good thing that we do every year. But we do a lot with first responders, and unfortunately, there's been too many tragedies recently with Officer Tracy from Waltham, and it's the next thing we got coming up, we'll be hosting a lot of the victims from Lewiston, Maine. They'll be coming to a game at the end of December. But we do a lot with schools and school assemblies, and we try to get in every aspect we can involving children and their families and help make a difference in their lives.
It's amazing, Bob. I tell you, I mean, every time I hear about these things happening, and the Bruins seem to be involved and always stepping up. And you mentioned, Operation Warmth with PFFM. I think the world of those guys as well. Richie McKinnon is just tops in my books, and the work that the professional firefighters in Massachusetts do, not only for their own members and keeping our community safe, but for doing things like this, for understanding how important it is to go and help people out, especially in that time of need around the holidays. So the work that you're doing, my friend, at the foundation is just second to none, and I can't thank you enough. I do want to before I let you go too, I have some great memories of you and those Bruins teams. And were you skating in the Fog game? Were you at the Fog game at the Garden back in '88?
Yeah.
What was that like? That must have been quite an experience.
Well, it was pretty hot.
Yeah.
That was one thing. As we all know, the old Garden didn't have air conditioning. Obviously, the lights went out. I think we were in the game was tied at the time, and no one knew what was going to happen. And then probably about a half hour into the delay, they decided to call the game, and that the stats counted for that game, but the game obviously didn't, and it just got forwarded on to the next game. And that was probably one of the best teams ever assembled. I think the Oilers had 7 Hall of Famers, and that was our first go at the Stanley Cup in '88. And we all thought we had a much better chance in '90, but then some guy named Peter Klimas scores after having four periods off.
God.
But that was tough to recover in triple overtime. But I just want to say too, Senator, I applaud you for all the work you're doing, in particular for New Hope, and on behalf of the Bruins and the Bruins Foundation, we'd like to make a $2,500 donation to them today. So.
Wow, that's amazing. You get the bells for that, Bob. That is incredibly generous, and I appreciate that. I know the folks over at New Hope will make sure that goes to good use and helping the survivors of domestic and sexual violence. Thank you so much to you and the entire foundation, the entire Bruins organization. Again, just a top-notch organization. We're lucky here in Boston to have alumni from our teams that stick around like you do, a local guy. I think you played it was at Acton Boxborough that you played your high school?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get it, right? I mean, you're from the community, you understand it, you understand Massachusetts, you get it more than anybody, and the Bruins just constantly being involved. I know here in my district, AJ's Army was partnered with the Bruins Foundation.
Yeah.
Just every time I turn around, you're doing something, and I can't thank you enough for that generous donation to New Hope. That'll go a long way, my friend. I'm going to make a donation as well in your name, and again, I think it's it's one of those things people don't realize that there's so much good work going on by people like yourself and the foundation and the Bruins organization, just top notch, and we get serious about our sports teams here in Massachusetts, as you know, probably more than anybody. But at the same time, we step up when we need to step up, and certainly the Bruins have been doing that for many, many years, and the foundation under your leadership. So really appreciate that, Swoop. And I got to ask you, before I let you go, I just asked our last guest as well, Lieutenant Governor, and she agreed with me. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie or what? No.
I don't think so. Let me say this. So I came home last night, and my wife is a big movie, and in particular, around the holidays, Christmas, and so what was on? Elf.
Oh yeah.
I never saw Elf from the beginning. I saw bits and pieces of the end. I've never seen it from start to finish. I mean, he is absolutely hilarious.
Hilarious, right?
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best roles I
Life's
think he's ever played.
I mean, that's got to be up there. I mean, that's a classic, right, with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can go back old school.
But
think
I honestly haven't the Die Hard one. I can't remember the last time I saw it. Probably when it first came out.
Wow.
The only thing I remember is just everything at the airport, whatever, around the Christmas season, obviously. But
it's stoked up quite a controversy amongst my circles of whether or not that's a Christmas movie. But I definitely, I'm glad you got to watch Elf last night. That is an absolute classic, and it's fun, right? I mean, Christmas time, the holidays. I don't get to watch too much TV or movies myself, but around this time of year, it's good to kick back a little bit and laugh and just kind of have some fun. So, Bob,
exactly.
I appreciate it so much, my friend. Thank you for calling and being a part of this. I want to thank the Boston Bruins and the foundation and yourself for all the work that you do, but especially for your generosity today with New Hope, for calling into this radio show, for being a part of our community, for partnering with guys like Richie McKinnon, PFFM, and stepping up and making sure that people have what they need around the holidays. So, Bob, thanks so much. I hope you have a great holiday and a happy new year, and hopefully we can work together on some other projects soon, my friend.
Well, I'll just leave you with this. One of the best events we do is at the Garden on January 28th, and it involves charities like the PFFM and screening firefighters for cancer, the 100 Club, which supports anybody that's killed in the line of duty and law enforcement. So people can go to bostonbruins.com/BeFitChallenge if they'd like to get. We have plenty of room for our community division. You can be friends of first responders, which we all are. So it's a great opportunity to explore the Garden and some of the nuances and the stairs that are around that beautiful building.
That's awesome. That's a BeFit Challenge. So bruins.com/BeFit Challenge. We'll make sure we get everybody over there, and it is a great event every year, and you won't see me climbing many stairs if you saw the size of me, Bob, but I can go there and help raise some money, and I don't know, who the hell knows, maybe I should climb a few stairs while I'm over there. So Bob Swoop Sweeney from the Boston Bruins Foundation, thank you again so much, my friend. Have a great holiday and a happy new year.
All right, happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you so much. That was my God, that was cool. That was cool. And looking at my chief of staff again, who graduated from BU, to have a BC guy like that on probably wasn't easy for you, Keith. What do you think?
Some text messages.
You're getting some text messages?
Swoop just checked into the boards. But,
it is fun. And it's, again, the Bruins Foundation is just top notch. And the work that the Bruins do, having a good year on ice. I'm looking over at Shane, who's my my hockey expert on my staff. Shane Coriel, who's my legislative aide, gives us the updates every day on the nuances and what's going on with that team. So then we have my Celtics experts, Maya Rabinovitz, who's with us today as well, my communications director, and Bill Titus, my district director, who are absolute Celtics fanatics. And, so it's good. We got it covered. And every day when we come into the office, we start with a coffee break because, we got to sit around and talk about the games the night before. And then we get into some real work. But I am blessed to have a good staff who are all with me today.
we have not one, but two Bruins calendars.
Two Bruins calendars in the office. Yeah. Now, you're too young. Do you remember Swoop Sweeney when he played, or did you ever see? You're looking at me with a funny look.
I shouldn't say. When I was born, it was probably on the later side of the.
Well, let's just say this: that you have certainly the pride of Attleboro High School. What year did you graduate Attleboro High School?
Class of 2013. I played varsity for 1 year.
Yeah.
I scored 1 goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you.
You're proud of that, huh?
Yep.
Well done. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank God you're a good chief of staff. Your hockey career never
I had
took
to
off.
find other, career pursuits.
Not only are you a chief of staff for me in the Senate, but now you're a radio producer. What the heck are we doing today?
Well, I'll say this. We like to use hockey analogies in the office. We always try to integrate that into our work, winning the battles.
Winning the battles, mucking it up in the corner, fighting for the puck. That's what we do every day, Keith.
Political and non-political.
Every day for the people of the Bristol and Norfolk district. That's what we do, right?
Always hustling. A lot of second and third effort, as Coach Montgomery would say.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Every day we try and light the lamp and play the horn, right?
That's right. We don't score goals. When we pass a bill, we
all right. People are like, what in the world are they talking about? Again, my name is State Senator Paul Feeney. You're listening to the first ever Holiday Spectacular here live in studio at WARA 1320 AM in Attleboro, Massachusetts. We are broadcasting live on the air, online. We are hopefully simulcasting to Facebook Live and others. So anybody that's listening in or watching, thank you so much for being a part of this. Just having a great time here today. I wish you all happy holidays. Hopefully you're done with your Christmas shopping. If you haven't finished that yet, you still have a couple of days. You will see me out there on Christmas Eve shopping. I don't know if my wife's listening yet, but certainly I think she knows, based on the history of us being together, that I'll be out Christmas Eve finishing our shopping. So if you are listening in, grab yourself a cup of hot chocolate, grab yourself a coffee, relax, enjoy the rest of the show. I want to tell you, I'm going to bring on a guest in a minute here, but wait until you hear the next hour. I got a very, very every person that calls in or joins us is a very, very special guest. But I'm real pumped. We just had Bob Sweeney from the Bruins. We've had Senator Elizabeth Warren. We've had Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll. We've had Deanna Mancera from New Hope Incorporated. In the next hour, we're going to bring on our congressman from the 4th Congressional District, Congressman Jake Auchincloss, a good friend who's working hard out there, our state representatives. We're going to have a conversation, and I am so pumped about this. If you know me, you'll know why. We're going to have a conversation with Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys, and then we're going to bring in City Council President Jay DeLisio as well. Before we do that, we're going to take a break in a few minutes and come back for our second hour. But I want to bring in a good friend of mine who is really working his tail off since he got elected in this district. He's a state representative from North Attleboro. He also has pieces of Attleboro and Mansfield, which we represent together. So just a great partner for what we're doing in the legislature. He's absolutely insane, but he does a lot of good work and hard work. I want to welcome State Representative Adam Scanlon on air with us today. Representative, hello there.
Hello, Senator. How are you?
I'm doing better now that you called, my friend. How you doing?
Well, I ran into a precarious circumstance this morning. I got a call from the North Pole. Santa's having some trouble with his sleigh this year, and he was wondering if I knew a big red vehicle that might be able to help deliver gifts to thousands of the children of the world. And I said, Santa, you've called the right person. I know just where to go. So he might be using the big red bus this year as a sleigh from North Attleboro for those.
Big red bus.
He might.
I love it. I know you did a lot of work, and I was happy to partner with you on that and getting that big red bus up and running. That's the type of thing we do. We hear from people in our community, and we're able to get that going. And I appreciate the humor, too. I thought we were doing a radio spectacular, but it's Adam Scanlon's hour at the Chuckle Hut, apparently. Appreciate the humor, my friend. Hey, Representative, listen, I want to have you join us in the next hour. Is it okay if we take a little bit of a station break, and then we'll get you back on in a little bit with Representative Jim Hawkins as well?
I suppose that would be okay.
Great. Well, we want to thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Once again, you're listening to the State Senator Paul Feeney's Holiday Spectacular, the first ever. We're having a blast. The studio's decorated, and we're having some great conversations with some special guest callers. We're going to be back in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again in a few minutes. Hey, here we go for our second hour. This is flying by. I got to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect today. My staff and I were putting the plans together, and we said, are we going to be able to talk for 2 hours with all these guests? But it has been incredible. It really is flying by. We are moving right along, and just really grateful for so many people for calling in and being a part of this. Again, I led off the show by saying we want to do something different. We wanted to kind of have a lighthearted conversation with some elected officials and kind of hear about what they're working on, and they talk a little bit of policy, which we've certainly done, but also just to kind of kick back and give folks another perspective of their elected officials and others. And it's the holiday season. Hopefully, we can all kind of just kick back a little bit and be thankful and grateful and hang around with family and friends and have good conversations. So that's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to talk a little bit, have good conversations, and raise some awareness and some donations for New Hope Incorporated, an incredible organization headquartered here in Attleboro that just provide resources and safety and shelter for survivors of sexual violence and domestic violence. And I believe, so much in what they do. And today we're raising some awareness and having some good conversations. So also want to mention that we've just been joined in studio. He hasn't sat down yet, but I saw him coming in, driving like an old lady. He parked outside the studio, and he just walked in. State Representative Jim Hawkins, who I am blessed to share some territory with, the city of Attleboro. But Representative Hawkins has joined us, and we're gonna bring him on in a minute and talk to him. But before we do that, I want to bring on truly a great friend and somebody that is doing incredible work for the people of the 4th Congressional District here in Massachusetts, our district. Congressman Jake Auchincloss has really just impressed so many people, hit the ground running. And the way that I look at kind of the federally elected folks, and you take the temperature out in the communities. And one of the things that you'll hear, about Jake are from mayors to city councilors to select board members to town managers is, my God, this guy is the most available and accessible elected official we've ever met. And I think that just goes without saying that the way that Congressman Auchincloss approaches this job is to be available, to be accessible, to have those conversations. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're not, but to really take the pulse of the district, and he does it on a daily basis. And I'm proud to call him a friend and a colleague, and we've been working together on many different issues. So please welcome to the Senator Paul Feeney Holiday Spectacular, our Congressman Jake Auchincloss. Congressman, it is great to have you on, my friend. How's it going?
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate those warm words, and I'm grateful to be working with you as well. It's going well. I'm here at the office in the district, closing some work ahead of the holidays, and looking forward to spending a couple of down days with my kids.
That's awesome. I think the first time, Congressman, you and I sat down, I think your wife was expecting, or maybe you just had, it was right at the beginning of the campaign, and now you just had your third, right?
That's right. So August of 2019, two things happened in the same week. One is I decided I was going to run for Congress. Joe Kennedy was leaving the seat. And the second is my wife told me she was pregnant with our first kid.
Oh, my God.
And bless her, she's been a trooper every step of the way since then. We've had Teddy, who's 3.5, then Grace followed a year later. She's 2.5, and now Audrey, who's 7 months. So we got a full house.
God. Wow. How do you do it? Oh, my God. I mean, between flying back and forth to D.C. and the work that you're doing in the district, I mean, do you get any sleep at all?
It's some combination of grandparents and Tylenol.
Oh, God love the grandparents. Where would you be without the kids' grandparents, right?
Absolutely. And we live very close by to my mom, and also to her parents are here most of the year as well. And one of the things I'm most grateful for growing up is I got to have really nice relationships with 3 out of my 4 grandparents. Unfortunately, my dad's father died before I was old enough, but it's such a valuable thing, and I'm seeing my kids now get to know their grandparents, and it's obviously, one, it's a huge help with childcare, but 2, it's such a blessing for both of them. And now we're creating our own holiday traditions. I'm Jewish, my wife is Catholic, and so we're doing it on both sides.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Jake. You mentioned grandparents, and I get emotional and think about it too. I mean, my grandmother in particular, all my grandparents are special, but my grandmother in particular has been such an influence in my life, and she had passed away a few years ago, and my family had actually, for Christmas a couple of years ago, got us an ornament with my grandmother's picture in it, right? So it's kind of, it's a big ornament. It's got the close-up of my grandmother's face. She's calling Nana. It was Nana's face, and so now that has a prominent place on my Christmas tree. And I got to tell you, even after all these years and since she's passed, it keeps me in line, because if I'm in my house and I'm going to use a curse word or say something bad about somebody, there's Nana's face on my Christmas tree staring back at me. So they have a great influence over us, and I'm sure over your kids as well. But Congressman, you have made a name for yourself, and I mentioned it when you came on about being available and accessible, but you've really been known as an effective leader here in Massachusetts and in the United States Congress. Is there anything in particular, and you've been, when I turn on the news at night, I see you on there talking about, kind of the issues of the day, and is there anything in particular over the past year that you're really, proud about, something that you've worked on, whether it's for the district or, some kind of bigger picture item, but anything in particular that sticks out from the past year that you're really proud of?
Well, first of all, the continued focus from my staff and me on constituent services.
Yeah.
I got my start, as you did, Paul, in local government, knocked on doors to become a city councilor. And when you do that, what you realize is, one, ignore most of the noise on social media and cable news, because 80% of people have a deep reservoir of common sense and decency when you just talk to them face to face. And they want responsiveness, they want common sense, and so much of the job that you and I have is returning phone calls. Really, just like get back to people one way or the other if they have an issue, constituent, fellow elected official. And so I really made that a focus when I took office, and I hired people who took it seriously, and I'm proud that we've continued to do that. In terms of the policy work, I think of two things in particular. The first is I've worked really hard to defend the president against some what I think of are pretty bad faith attacks from the right, and honestly, occasionally from the left as well, to be blunt, on his foreign policy decisions in Ukraine and Israel and in the Indo-Pacific. And I think history is going to judge Joe Biden's first term as a success, but he's taken it from all sides right now, and he needs surrogates and allies who can, I think, help him communicate the context and also what he's doing. It doesn't mean I always agree with the president, and I'm been vocal at times when I don't, but I do take pride in trying to support Joe Biden as he's going into a consequential election year. And then number two is drug prices. This has been a very challenging Congress to get anything done, but we just passed a bill in the House 2 weeks ago that would take on some of the corporate greed that insurance companies have been exhibiting to pass on their profits to patients at the pharmacy countertop. And I did that in a bipartisan way, work with Republicans to get that done, and I feel good about it.
What a novel concept, huh? Working in a bipartisan way, having conversations. I mean, Jake, this is the stuff that, when I grew up and paid attention to politics, it was kind of the Joe Moakley way, right? Take care of constituents. It was Tip O'Neill, have those conversations. And, I think that's what makes us, better legislators, better elected officials, when we take that approach. And you certainly have it. And shout out, too, to your staff. Incredible work. You talk about constituent affairs, answering the phone, getting back to people. Dana, Jenna, Stephanie, I mean, really your whole team is a pleasure to work for, pleasure to work with, from my perspective. But also I hear about the work that they're doing throughout the district all the time. So well done in putting that team together. They you are blessed to be able to have them as I am with my staff. So well done.
Paul, I want you and I to make a New Year's resolution together, though, on this. 2024 is going to be the year that you and I are going to get Mansfield rest stop.
Oh, yeah. See, there you go. Now, that's you know what? First of all, I'm glad that you didn't ask me to take a resolution to go on a diet or something like that. This is actually a resolution that I may stick to if we can do that rest area. What an absolute blight! And see, now you get my blood pressure up, Congressman, because you've
been the leader on this.
Oh.
I mean, you have been hammering this, and I'm trying to be the best supporting effort I can be. But 2024, darn it, you and I are going to get this thing done.
You know, when people ask you, why did you run for office? I say, so I can deal with rest areas. I mean, it's certainly not a sexy project, but my God, it's the welcome to Massachusetts, and it's an absolute blight. So, you know, we're going to be working together on that, and I'm going to be hounding you, and, you know, we're going to be going at that from all different angles. But, Congressman Auchincloss, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. You know, we talked to Deanna Mancera earlier from New Hope, and I know that you know, you have been just working tirelessly to get, you know, try and identify some funding through HUD for them for the shelter as well, and all the work.
We got them some funding. We're really good about that.
Incredible. That's a huge victory, huge, just testament to the work that you do, and recognizing that was such a need in the district, and then you went out and got it. So, thank you for doing that. The work that they do at New Hope is so important, and we're trying to highlight a lot of that today and bring awareness to that work that they do. And you know, they would not be where they are without you, certainly, Congressman. So really, really appreciate you being a part of today's show, of the work that you do, of partnering with people like myself and Representative Jim Hawkins and all the state reps in the district, and just being available all the time. You mentioned, you know, you get starting your new kind of holiday traditions in your family. You're Jewish, celebrating Hanukkah. You celebrate Christmas. You know, what is Christmas going to look like in your house? I mean, is it going to be mayhem, just opening presents everywhere? Is it going to be nice and low key? Do you sit around a fire and read books? What does the Auchincloss house look like on Christmas this year?
So I think Christmas Eve is going to be with my side of the family, my cousins and their kids, big boisterous dinner, and maybe some like a Yankee swap kind of thing with the cousins. And then we'll come back to my house, and then Christmas morning will be just the family, my wife and me, and our three little ones. Grace and Audrey are too little to kind of be fully wired in, but Teddy at 3.5 he's tracking Santa. He's wondering about letter delivery time to the North Pole. He's really concerned that we don't have a chimney. I mean, that is a massive issue for him. We've been working through that together. So that is going to be a production for Teddy. We'll have the cookies and the milk and the carrots that the reindeer ate. So I'm looking forward to that, because he is at that age where it's all for first time and magical.
Jake, I got to tell you, my wife, you know, we don't have any kids of our own. My wife does family child care, and this is a big week for a lot of the kids that are coming into her daycare. And I came home from running around yesterday, and I noticed these bowls all around our kitchen with just some stuff in it. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? There was glitter, there was like oats, and I looked at Laura and I said, what is happening in the house right now? And she said, what do you mean, you don't know? And I said, no. She goes, we're making reindeer food. And I said, oh, okay. So all the kids got together yesterday. They made this reindeer food complete with magic glitter, which the reindeers can't fly without it. And then I guess they're going home and spreading it all over their lawn. So if you want, I will have Laura send over the recipe for the perfect magical reindeer food so that Teddy can go out there and sprinkle it all over your lawn before Christmas Eve.
I would love that.
That's awesome. Well, Congressman Auchincloss, you have been an incredible supporter of so many things here in our district, and can't thank you enough for partnering with all of us in the legislative delegation here. And I wish you a happy holidays, my friend, and a happy new year. And I know we're probably going to be connecting on one of our late-night phone calls again soon, trying to fix all the problems in the world. So thank you so much, Congressman.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much. That was Congressman Jake Auchincloss, a congressman from the 4th Congressional District, just a good friend, and we are just partnering on so many things here in the district. It takes a team. And I'm not, not patting ourselves in the back. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, with all sincerity, that when you have good partners at every level of office, it just makes things so easy. And with that, I mentioned that we had a new guest join us in studio here, live at WARA 1320 studio here in Attleboro, Massachusetts. The state representative from Attleboro, Massachusetts, Representative Jim Hawkins, and I believe we also have a caller on the line who's going to join us for a conversation as well. Representative Adam Scanlon, who joined us earlier, is back on the line. So if we can bring up Representative Scanlon and Representative Hawkins. How are you, my friend? Yeah, you.
Hello,
There you go.
Senator.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, Rep Scanlon, Rep Hawkins.
So I'm thinking, you keep coming up with these innovative ways to support New Hope and Christmas. But this has the gift cards last year was pretty cool, but this is much nicer. It's warmer here than it was sitting in that parking lot last year. So we like the trajectory of this.
It is, yeah, a lot warmer and yeah, a little bit more fun, kind of hanging out. And
Yeah,
we're one
yeah.
big dysfunctional family, being the state legislative delegation. So
Yeah, right. Adams, you're on too?
yeah, Rep Scanlon's on.
Yeah.
Part of our dysfunctional legislative delegation family. Rep Scanlon, I'm sorry I had to kick you off before we went to that break, but I'm learning all about this radio stuff and how to hit certain times. So I'm glad you were able to jump back on and join us.
That's okay. I'm always happy to be here to ring in the Christmas spirit with all of you and to celebrate New Hope.
Now, DeBolte's are on. It's been a tough week, certainly in the district. The week before Christmas, and we got hit with a major storm on Monday with all sorts of wind and rain. And I think Adam and Jim and myself, I'm sure you guys feel the same way. We've been just bombarded with constituent issues for power outages and floods and all that stuff. Rep Scanlon, are you doing all right? You making it through the week unscathed here, or what? Does everybody have power on in North Attleboro?
Well, of course we do. We have the wonderful municipal electric company in North Attleboro, so we always have power. We never lose power. So that's our Christmas present this year in North Attleboro.
I love it. And Rep Hawkins, we've had a little bit different experience in Attleboro with National Grid. We've been chasing them around.
Yeah. Yes, we have.
Yeah. As of this afternoon, I heard that there were just, I think there were under 100 or a couple hundred people still without power.
I think it was that same one because they had to string together 6 poles or something like that. It was complicated.
Yeah.
As of 2 or 3 hours ago, they were still working on it, but they had a whole bunch of trucks there to do it. So
did you?
Hopefully that'll be wrapped up.
Did you
now.
lose power at your house?
I never do.
Never do. You got solar, right? You got the
I
panels?
do, but that's not why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm on the corner of Oak Hill Avenue, and Oak Hill Avenue, where I am, never loses power. My neighbors all do, and I don't know.
Wow.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah, no, knock on wood, my friend. Hopefully, we lost power for about a day and a half or so.
It was a little bit of a complication Monday because I took something in to file with the clerk's office, and there was no internet in Attleboro to file it on laws, so we couldn't actually do it. But I went back in yesterday. We got it done.
Nice. Rep Scanlon, what are you working on right now? I know you've had quite a busy year legislatively as well. Is there anything that you've been focused on here over these last few weeks as we head into a new year?
Well, like you, the flood that impacted our area, it impacted many of our area residents. So advocating for the relief of people that were impacted by flooding was a strong priority for me in the legislature, as it was you. And I'm very happy to say that, when all was said and done, we were able to set aside some relief in an account for people that were impacted by flooding. So very excited about that. And it's moments like this when we're able to touch, people's hearts in their lives that this is what makes the job so worth it.
Amen, brother. Amen. I always say, look, the three of us work together. We talk to each other constantly. We're always working on different issues throughout the district. These are those days, kind of around the holidays and, where we can just step back, take a few days, maybe relax a little bit, and just kind of take a breath. I know at the beginning of this year, when we head into the second part of the legislative session, we are going to be just shot out of a cannon. We're talking about, the new fiscal year budget that's going to come up, all sorts of legislation. We have a housing bond bill that we spoke with the Lieutenant Governor about earlier. There are transportation issues that we're going to have to deal with going forward. So it's good to just kind of take a few days and take a breath, debrief, and then, really hit the ground running at the first of the year. It is it's one of those things. It's just you're drinking from a fire hose on a lot of these issues, Representative, and you're working not only the local issues but the kind of bigger picture legislative issues, plus our committee work that we have going on. But it's good to kind of just take a few moments. So, with that being said, I know all about the work that you're doing, Rep. Hawkins and Rep. Scanlon. We're working on a lot of the same things here in the district. But what do you do when we're not on the phone talking about legislation? I know, Jim, you're like a superstar triathlete.
You mean swimming in the cold water?
You go swimming in the cold water every day. I mean,
so are you going to join us New Year's Day?
Am I going to join you New Year's Day? Uh-oh.
I mean, you were talking New Year's resolutions 5 minutes ago. I thought that's what you were leading up to, and it wasn't.
So talk to me about what your plans on New Year's Day. What do you do?
Well, we've been doing this for 25 years. We go down to First Beach in Newport and go in the ocean. Water temp's probably in the middle 30s. It's fine.
Middle 30s.
But it's a. What else are you going to do on New Year's Day to celebrate? Tell me truthfully. What are you going to do?
I have a list of about 457 other things that I will do.
But you'd be home in time for that. Is it noontime? You'd be home in time for that.
I'll be home in time for it?
Yeah.
New Year's Day, I wake up at noontime. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying.
No, listen, all more power to you. One of these years, I actually did the plunge at L Street one year. We did it kind of in honor of my uncle who had passed, and we went down to L Street Bathhouse and in Southie. Oh, my God. What a way to start the year.
Well, the trick is you don't run in. You go in gradually, get used to it, and then go the rest of the way. And if you happen to be sick with like a cold or the flu, it'll cure it on the spot. You go in sick, you come out healthy. As long as you're smart enough to put on dry clothes afterwards, which isn't necessarily what happens. But
Adam, are you hearing this? Are you jumping in the water on New Year's Day too?
Maybe hot water, but not that one.
We're all in hot water, my friend.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
So, all right. So I did do it, and I can appreciate it. I did it once. I don't know if I'll go back and do it again. But I got to tell you, I did have to run in. And, it's unbelievable when you have so many people like they do down in Southie with the L Street Brownies. And they had the bagpipes leading us in. I mean, I felt it was like it was out of Braveheart. We had the bagpipes going, the drummers going, and I just ran. What I didn't realize is I ran way too far, and I was out there.
You couldn't get back in?
And it was tough getting back in.
That happens.
Because literally every muscle in my body, muscles I didn't even know I had, cramped up. And it's freezing cold.
It's getting warmer, unfortunately, but I can remember years when I got a little panicky when I went under. I didn't think I'd get back out.
Right. And it takes your breath away.
There used to be snow on the ground and ice, slush on the edge. It's not like that anymore. It's warmer.
Wow. It's a good way to start the year, I guess. And
Newport's kind of like that. It's busier at that beach than it is on a hot summer's afternoon. It's packed. There's no parking. It's packed like an hour before you go in. And everybody goes in at noontime all at once.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I don't know if you'll see me there, but I will be there in spirit,
my friend. Open invitation to anybody within sound of this. I can tell you how to meet us.
It sounds like a great invite.
I see Keith over there nodding. He's thinking about it. So
Keith's
because he went to see.
Adam, wow. Adam's got a little funny bone today. I think he's. Rep. Scanlon, what about you? What's your Christmas look like? You gonna be low key? You hanging around? Are you traveling? What's on your plate for the next few days?
Just spend some time with family and try to find some good Christmas movies to watch. That sort of thing. I'm really interested in that reindeer food that the congressman was talking about. I'm very curious to get that recipe as well. If you could send that over.
Listen, Rep. Scanlon, breaking news on that. So. St. Laura, otherwise known as Laura Feeney, but going straight to heaven because she deals with my ridiculousness on a daily basis. So St. Laura just texted me, and she must be listening. She's the one listening in because she said, it's colored sugar. We don't use glitter with children, so it's colored sugar. So I'll make sure that we get that recipe over, and you can sprinkle the reindeer food in your yard. Does that sound all right?
Well, I don't see color, but that sounds great, Senator.
Well, we'll send some your way. Adam, you you have a unique district where you have North Attleboro, a piece of Attleboro, a piece of Mansfield. Representative Hawkins has the majority of the city of Attleboro. But now that means that you have to go to 3 different tree lightings, menorah lightings, all the different holiday traditions in the district. Were you able to get to many of them this year? I know North Attleboro has the big Santa parade. I'm sure you were at that. Have you been around the district hitting all the different holiday events?
Of course. I don't know if you remember, but at one point in North Attleboro, people started planting trees in the potholes, and that was sort of a sign that, maybe we should take a better look at our roads, around the holidays. So, not only did we celebrate the big Christmas tree, we have a lot of small trees from time to time that we have to be mindful of on our roads and the pot.
Hey, listen, that's all right. Somebody got their point across by planting the Christmas trees in the road. Whatever works to get our attention.
Yeah. What was that old saying, civil disturbance or whatever? Or I forget what it was called.
Yeah, it'll come to you. It'll come to you when we're well off the air, but maybe we'll put it on the Facebook page. Rep Scanlon remembered the quote that he wanted to use. So,
yeah.
Listen, Adam, I really appreciate you calling in and all the work that you do, and I'm going to make a donation to New Hope in your name for calling in and being a part of this today. Representative Scanlon, it's a pleasure to work with you, and I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and certainly I'm sure I'm going to talk to you about 500 times before Christmas Day, and then we're going to continue to work together afterwards. But thanks again for being a part of this and for calling in and for all that you do.
Oh, anytime. Take care. Have a wonderful day. And Merry Christmas.
Awesome. Representative Adam Scanlon calling in from North Attleboro. Appreciate him being involved in this. And again, sitting here with Representative Jim Hawkins. And I'm actually looking out the window from the studio here at WARA, and I see Paul Jakes, local firefighter here in Attleboro, and legislative agent for the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts. And I'm going to try and work him in a couple of minutes and have him join us for a quick conversation. We heard earlier from Bob Swoop Sweeney, Representative Hawkins, from the Boston Bruins Foundation, and they made a very generous donation to New Hope.
Nice.
Yeah, and he mentioned that they were working on a project this afternoon, an event later on today for coats for kids that need them, and they were partnering with PFFM, Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts, to make that happen. And we're lucky guys like Paul Jakes here in the district, in the area, that do so much, not only to protect and fight for their own members, to keep our community safe, but then they go and they spend all their time doing things for others and stepping up and doing a lot of charitable work. So definitely want to thank them for that. We have a very special guest calling in here in just a few minutes that I can't wait to bring on. I don't think he's on the line yet, but we want to bring him on as well. And I believe we have City Council President Jay DeLisio as well that's going to be joining us here in studio as we head towards the final half hour of the first ever Senator Paul Feeney Holiday Spectacular. Those that have joined us and listening online, I want to set the scene for a moment here. We're here in a studio. The sun's going down, downtown Attleboro, in an old industrial neighborhood where you can see the buildings that are going to be now repurposed, where there's going to be additional housing and economic development. And I'm sitting here in a studio with some of the greatest people on earth from my staff, Jim Jones from WARA, Representative Jim Hawkins, others that I told you are joining us. We're trying to be festive. If anybody's watching us on Facebook Live, I actually stole this reindeer from home, one of my wife's decorations that she puts up with all the child care kids. So we're going to hold that up so everybody sees that on the camera. And then this is kind of the pièce de résistance. Keith, I want you. We're going to bring up your mic for a moment, and I want you to tell the listeners, okay? And I'm going to hold this up to the camera in a minute. Mm-hmm. Tell the listeners about the experience of how this came about, and I want to show this to the listeners.
Everybody,
I know we're on radio, but we do have a visual medium as well. So, look at this Christmas painting.
It's beautiful.
How incredible is that?
You painted that, Senator.
It says Feeney right down the bottom.
2021. So for our staff outing, back in 2021, 2 years ago now, right around this time of year.
Yeah.
We went to a paint class. You took us to a paint class, and we painted a beautiful holiday scene. The snow is falling. It's a snow-covered hill. And, we all took one of those home. Mine is being displayed. It's at my mom's house. I believe she has it. It's on display now for the holidays.
Somebody's actually putting that up to display it?
And I know the staff who are here all have theirs still.
Did you all keep them? Does everybody still have their portraits? This was a fun night.
We have fun.
I mean, we're listen.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
We're doing a visual display here, but I'll bet most of the listeners don't know that you and your whole staff is wearing Christmas pajamas right now.
Go ahead, Keith.
No, I was just going to say we don't actually get to physically paint very, very often in the State House.
Yeah, we're more of like a paint by numbers type of crew, right? I mean, we draft legislation. We're pretty effective, I think, at what we do. And then we have crazy ideas like, let's do a radio show. Let's go paint pictures. That was a fun night. We took the staff. This is a couple of years ago, again, as Keith said, right around this time of year, we went to the Muse Paint Bar.
That's right, Muse Paint Bar.
Up at Patriot Place. And you have a couple of drinks, and you kind of learn to paint. And I'm so proud of this picture because I think it's the first one that I've painted since I was in probably third grade. And it looks like a second grader painted it. So, maybe I've regressed a little bit, but my perspective's a little bit messed up on the house, as you can see, Keith. But it looks like it was probably built non-union, the house in that. I'm joking, of course. Now we're going to get the angry text.
There's always a fallback plan, right?
Right. I'll be a painter. I certainly won't be a radio host, that's for sure. But, just that was a fun night out. And, of course, the whole crew, the whole staff got to paint their own portraits. It was a great time. And I'm glad we're not doing that again this year. We'll go out to dinner tonight and we won't paint, but we'll swap some stories So again, you're listening to the Paul Feeney Holiday Spectacular. Feels weird saying my name like that in third person, but our first ever radio show at the WARA Studios, 1320 AM here in Attleboro. We've had incredible guests on so far, raising a little bit of awareness and some donations for New Hope Incorporated, and above and beyond, just kind of having a conversation and hanging out and getting to know our elected officials and other folks a little bit better. So, Jim, you and I have been working together pretty closely now for how many years have it been? 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. We've as I mentioned earlier, we're always on the phone, always trying to solve problems in Attleboro. But I had teased it about your cold water swim, but you actually are a triathlete, right? I mean, you compete competitively in triathlons.
I've finished 15 marathons and 12 Ironman distance triathlons, 2.5 mile swim, 112 mile bike, 26 mile run.
Wow.
And I've kept pieces of it, but I'm 74 this year, so it's not quite the same as it used to be.
74.
This lifestyle is not conducive to regular training. It's so unpredictable.
Yeah, well, what about...
But I've kept on the open water swimming.
Sure.
Through most of the year, I swim a mile before work in the reservoir. Not this reservoir, the one.
So is that how many days a week? 5 days a week?
Oh, no, 3 days a week.
3 days?
4 days a week, yeah.
Okay.
It's takes too much time to do that.
Yeah.
We go until November. The water can be in the middle 50s, and we can still swim a mile.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for asking. I'm proud. That's the fun part.
No, I know. And you race cars and you do all sorts of stuff.
Well, that's when I couldn't run. I got a NASCAR license, so I could race at Seekonk Speedway.
Wow.
And I sold it after I sold the car after I retired, and I ended up with people that bought it from me won a track championship once, twice, and most recently, the sister of the guy who drove it just won track championship at Seekonk Speedway, first female ever to win 2 track championships back to back.
Wow.
So it's just my name on her car. I didn't have anything to do with that, but my name was on her car.
Well, you can take the credit for it.
Well,
right?
it started with my race car, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like any politician, we take credit for the work that other people do.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Representative Jim Hawkins, for joining us. I want to bring in...
and thank you for having this indoors this year.
Of course,
yep,
of course.
Much better.
Yeah, no, this is a lot easier. Last year when we were out doing the gift card drive, it was windy and it was I think we got rain maybe the first year or some snow. last year was the wind we were competing with. But
this is much more hospitable, much more suitable for the holiday.
Yeah. Well, loved having you in, Representative Jim Hawkins. Merry Christmas to you and to Gretchen and to everybody. We really appreciate all the work that you do and for being here with us today. Representative Jim Hawkins from Attleboro joining us in studio. Thanks so much, Representative. And I want to bring in a couple more friends that are with us today. I saw them outside the door of the studio, and I wanted to bring them in because they're great friends of mine. They do a lot of work here in Attleboro and in the region. We're going to try and get them situated with some microphones. If anybody's watching the circus online and you can see us trying to fill the studio here, we got my staff and we got guests, and it's just an overall great time. So I want to bring on with us the Attleboro City Council President, my good friend, Jay Delicio. Welcome.
This is awesome. I've been listening all the way from Leominster. It's been great.
Don't lie to me.
No. Why would I lie to you on purpose?
You were the one?
Why would I lie to you on purpose?
Right.
We were just talking outside. We were sitting on the couch, and I'm like, man, this takes me back to high school. Like you're in detention waiting for the principal to come out. Which made it a challenge because my mom worked in my high school.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Wow, you couldn't get away with anything.
No, and not through lack of trying.
Yeah, right. And also joining us is Paul Jakes, Attleboro Firefighters Local 848 and legislative agent with Professional Firefighters in Massachusetts, and just a really good guy. Paul Jakes, welcome, brother.
Hey, thank you. It takes one to know one. Surrounded by good friends here and good friends you brought in as guests, a lot of good speakers today, and thanks for doing this.
We're having some fun. So you may have just heard me, but what do you think of my painting here?
You've taken up a lot of extracurricular activities in your time, I see. So that looks good. That's
Not
very
bad,
Christmassy.
right?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. I do have to challenge the illumination. One strand on one side.
I know.
But short of that, it's fantastic.
I'll work
I can't
on
draw stick figures, so you're good.
I'll work on that. And again, the perspective on the roof is a little bit messed up, but whatever.
I don't think so. It looks like the snow's falling off.
It's abstract, Delicio.
Yeah, it's
You know what I
beautiful.
mean?
It's
It's
gorgeous.
abstract.
I just want to know whose footprints those are.
And which direction are they going?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty good. Again, we're on radio and we're talking about a painting, so we're batting 1,000 here. Good stuff. Hey, listen, I really appreciate all you both of you do, and Council Delicio coming back and inaugurated again in January for a new term, and congratulations on the win and for coming back. And we've been talking a lot of policy today. We've been talking some politics, and then just kind of having fun. And one of the things that I love about you, Jay, you're a Republican. I'm a Democrat. We don't fight with each other.
We don't fight. We have conversation.
What? Right.
What? We get things done?
Yeah, we work, on behalf of the people that we represent. And not only that, but, we actually like each other and get along.
Agreed.
That's not happening across this country, man.
No, and I got to tell you, I mean, from my perspective, really, being able to reach out, bounce things off of you, bounce things off Rep. Hawkins, Rep. Scanlon, I mean, that's important. That's how we get things done. And we've really established a pretty good friendship, too. And there's a lot of trust that goes into that. And people are like, oh, you're talking to this guy, he's a Democrat. I go, we're here for the people of Attleboro.
Yeah.
I don't sit there and a resident calls me and I'm like, oh, you're a Dem. Call someone else. No, that's not my job. My job is to move the city forward with the help of our partners. And that's what we do. And to be able to have the delegation we have, as well as the support from Congressman Auchincloss, which was great to hear him earlier. Yeah. Proof I was listening. But, just to be able to sit down and get things done, you're right, we don't always agree, but we're always agreeing to have a conversation about it. Yeah. And I think we agree more often than we don't.
Yeah. And I'll agree with that.
There we
go. Perfect example.
That was good.
Paul Jakes, you've been in fire services for so long, but as I mentioned earlier, too, we were talking about the work that you do, not only with Attleboro Fire and making sure that your men and women that are here in Attleboro keeping our community safe, but that you're taking care of their safety as well. But then a lot of the charitable work that you do personally and that PFFM does. Again, I asked Congressman Auchincloss earlier, you don't sleep much, do you? And I feel the same way about you. You're always out and about and on the go and doing the fill the boot drives and everything else. Talk to us a little bit about kind of the charitable work that PFFM is doing and that you've been engaged in over the years.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, as far as sleep, we do that another time. There's so much to do on this planet. But, there's Democrats, there's Republicans, and there's firefighters. And as firefighters, we don't look at political parties. We don't look at personal opinions. We just go out there and help everybody. Not only here in Attleboro, where we have a great group of firefighters from Local 848, but across this Commonwealth and the country. The firefighters are just out there. They're everyday people, your friends, your neighbors, your baseball coaches. People that are out there just doing good things, like you said, fill the boot, working with the Bruins Foundation, as you said, with Swoop earlier, doing the Be Fit Challenge. New Hope. Personally, I was on that for 16 years, the new board of directors there. Did a lot of good work with them. They do great stuff every single day. So putting this together to fundraise for that is a very incredible
awesome.
thing.
Well, I'm going to make a donation. I'm glad you brought that. I'm going to make a donation in your name, Paul, and you, Jay, as well. We've had a lot of people calling in, saying that they're going to do the same, and it's just the work that they do. They need the resources. They take care of people directly. And Paul, after you said that, I did get a text from the Attleboro Police Department saying you just sleep on the job, so it's fine. I'm only kidding.
Hey,
Come on,
I'll have to say it. I do it every time. The age-old joke, the only one I know. What's the one thing police and fire have in common?
What's that?
They all want to be firefighters.
Oh, listen to that. So we had a little BCBU rivalry earlier. Now we're having a little police and fire. It's all good stuff.
What's that?
Police, fire, hockey.
Yes, so we do a great thing. We have part of the charity work that we do. Also, we have a big hockey thing every single year, and Attleboro's part of that. Attleboro Firefighters Local 8 has its own team, and we do a good job, making it as far as we can and competing with other firefighter locals across the Commonwealth.
Awesome. Good work, and appreciate all the work that you do. And I know it's, you can't take a day off around the holidays if you're a firefighter. You're going constantly, you're doing your shifts. And we just, big shout out to all firefighters and police officers this week, especially who aren't going to be home for Christmas dinner and going to be kind of working it out. Maybe Christmas happens on Christmas Eve or the next day. But big shout out to all the members of the Attleboro firefighters and police, and throughout my district. 7 communities in the Bristol and Norfolk State Senate District. Absolutely blessed to have the public servants that we do, especially the folks that are working in public safety. Thinking about them this week, and it's I know it sounds so cliche, but really we mean it, and I know Council Dulce, you feel the same way. From the bottom of our hearts, it's not easy, and oftentimes it goes, I don't want to say unnoticed, but unsaid. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to all the police and firefighters and other public sector workers, nurses, folks in healthcare that are going to be working over these next few days. We'll be thinking about you. Now, Jay.
Yes.
Not only did I say, okay, a Republican, Democrat thing, but you get a vowel at the end of your last name, you're an Italian.
Yes.
I think maybe our traditions around Christmas are a little different. Talk to me about the 7 fishes thing, and is this something that happens at the Delicio household?
Admittedly, and sadly, no. And it's because my wife is allergic to shellfish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, little known fact about Mrs. D. I did say to her, though, I said, Aim, next year, we'll figure out a different way to do it. And she doesn't like seafood, but I've got the menu all laid out for next year. We'll do some crabbies, we'll do some stuffies, do some bang bang shrimp on the grill, the flat top. It's going to be beautiful. And I got sign off. We grew up with that, obviously. For Italians, Christmas Eve is our night. Like, that's our Christmas. So we always have an open house, good friends, family come in and out all night and into the early morning. One point, Santa Claus came down. He's like, whoa, I'm not coming back to this house again tonight. You guys need to go to bed. And I felt bad. I was 30-something years old. I got yelled at by Santa. So kids, he knows what's going on. But, yeah, we have a good time. And then Christmas Day, it's always just kind of relaxing and, gearing up. I'm going to smoke a spatchcock chicken this year for Christmas Day. Our good friend Mrs. Parika is going to help me out with ascertaining said bird. And then she came over a couple weeks ago. We had a couple birds on the smoker. It was good times.
That's awesome.
Good times.
That's good stuff. Yeah, you get the Italian tradition. I get the Irish tradition, which is throw everything into a pot and boil the taste out of it. That's pretty much what we do. No offense. I know my mother's probably listening, but she'll be the first to tell you, too. I mean, it's the Irish tradition, right?
Look, I'm Irish and Italian.
Yeah.
My mother's maiden name, McBride. So I get in fights with myself for no reason.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Then I get a shot of whiskey and a meatball, and life's good.
There you go.
Life's good. Cliches are cliches for a reason.
You figured it all out. We are joined in studio by Attleboro City Council President Jay Delicio and Attleboro firefighter, PFFM legislative agent Paul Jakes. Listen, this, as we come up to the holidays, I laugh, right? I mean, all the traditions that we have, all the things. And of course, you have kids, and you kind of bring them up and do things, and everybody has their own way of kind of dealing with the holidays. And then I look at a young buck like Keith Drucker, my chief of staff, who's with us today, who just got married. How many months ago is it now, Keith?
It was in April.
And
8
April?
months.
Okay, so about 8 months, and now we're getting to that point. Every holiday, I say to him, "So Keith, what's the plan for the holidays?" He lives up in the North End, from Attleboro. Family's down in Attleboro, and he says, "Oh, boss, it's killing me. I got to go do her family, then we're going to do my family, then I got to do this and that." I said, "That's what it is, man. It's stressful. Welcome
Make the
to
rounds. We're making the rounds here.
This
in
is an
Attleboro.
important Christmas for you. And if it don't fall for the, no, we won't do gifts for each other, don't fall for that.
I had the same
It's a trap.
conversation with someone else this morning.
Yeah, that
at,
person's
at,
not.
at a different event.
You will pay for that, my friend, if you screw
Forever.
that one up.
Forever.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
And don't forget the birthday.
Well,
So no Senator Feeney painting.
No, don't give her the paint.
It's autographed.
Although, it is.
It's autographed.
I'll
That's a
auction that
collectible.
off if it's
Okay.
if it'll
I think
help
it's
you.
great that you put 1 of 100 on there, so it drives up the value.
Yeah, Hey, listen.
Only
speaking
from
of-
the heart. Only
Speaking of Christmas gifts, and again, not to be Captain Cheeseball here, but I am so excited about this next guest that's joining us right now, calling in. I have been, and I think you guys know because you're friends and you know me enough, but for our listeners and those of our constituents across the district and those listening in and watching, I am a huge Dropkick Murphys fan. Back to the old days when it wasn't cool to be a Dropkick Murphys fan. Now everybody wants to be a Murphys fan, but I have been a fan of the Dropkick Murphys for so long. I've been to many of their shows, and I got to tell you, the leader of that band, Ken Casey, not only is he an incredible musician and leader of that band, but the work that he does for charitable organizations, he doesn't stop. Every time somebody asks, he steps up. And I'm thrilled to have him on now with us on Senator Feeney's Holiday Spectacular, the lead singer and bassist, chief cook and bottle washer and utility player of the Dropkick Murphys, Ken Casey. Ken, thanks for joining us, brother. It's great to have you on.
How you doing, guys? Merry Christmas. How you doing?
We're doing excellent. I'm here, Ken, with City Council President from Attleboro, Jay DeLisio, and Attleboro firefighter Paul Jakes from the PFFM. Ken, it is, I tell you, it is an absolute honor to have you on the air with us today on WARA. I was just talking to the guys and telling them, how much work you do. Every time I turn around, I see Ken Casey and the Dropkick Murphys out there doing charitable work. I know you get the Clatter Fund and all the things that you've been up to. Can you tell us what you've been up to, what you're doing, the Clatter Fund, the things that you're supporting, and how we can help?
Sure. Thanks, Paul. Today, speaking of the Clatter Fund, today was our favorite concert of the whole year. We go over and do a Christmas show at Franciscan Children's Hospital for the kids there and play a bunch of Christmas songs. And, oh, my God, the kids... these kids are in tough situations, and you see their faces light up and singing along. And, that's why who's kidding who? It's great to give back, right? But you do charity work, and you leave there, and you feel like 10 times better than when you went in. You
exactly.
know what I mean? And so it's just it's the pleasure and the privilege of this whole thing to be able to, I don't know, I guess, like, for us, we were always caught in that dichotomy of, like, we weren't really raised to be musicians, you know what I mean? And we always felt almost borderline guilty for our success, you know what I mean? That being a musician is almost too easy, and so doing the charity work is what kind of writes it all for us and makes us feel like the slate is even, So years ago we used to we have our own like rehearsal spot that's just ours now, but years ago when we used to share the those jam spots with like 20 other bands rented in a room, and the guy who ran the building would be in there. We'd practice at 8 in the morning, and he'd go, "You're the only rock band I've ever seen that practices at 8 in the morning. Why would any band you like to get in a band so you don't have to get up at 8 in the morning?" We say, "No, we practice at 8 in the morning so we feel like we have a real job, So but after 28 years of doing this, I feel like hopefully the Clatter Fund and our foundation and that stuff will be our legacy, you know, and something maybe we can continue to do the work with even after we're done, you know, traveling around the world playing music, you know.
It's amazing, Ken. You talk about traveling around the world. I've seen you in a few places, but you know, one of my take some personal privilege here to tell a story. I had gotten in a rented Ford Explorer back probably 12 years ago with a few of my friends, and we went out to Wisconsin when Governor Walker was being an idiot out there on some legislation, and we went out and we were protesting in Madison, Wisconsin, in the Capitol, and we timed it so that on our way back we'd stop in Chicago to see the Dropkick Murphys play. And Ken, you got up during that show, and you know, it was me and a few guys from Local 2222, and you got up there in that show and you gave us a shout out, and I felt like a rock star when you did that. But it was amazing stuff, and you've been an incredible supporter of labor, you know, for so many years, and for all you do for working people. I can't thank you enough.
Well, there's not enough bands that are the voice for working people, so. It's a banner we're happy to, and a torch we're happy to carry because, you know, it's near and dear to our heart. And I feel like, you know, in this generation, especially, you know, a lot of people who raised in our generation and the families we come from, you take it for granted that everyone understands the value of organized labor and what it's brought to, you know, so many of our families and neighborhoods and, you know, whole generations of people. And so sometimes I feel like we have the opportunity to educate a new generation of people that are potentially, you know, willing to organize. I mean, look at the Starbucks stuff and all that stuff. You know, who would have ever thought, you know, frontiers that we never really would have even thought of that might end up, you know, unionizing. But, you know, that's the future. And, you know, otherwise, you know, I don't know how, if you're stuck in that gig economy, I just don't see really, you know, how anyone can obtain that middle class dream coming out of those, you know, wage structure and the cost of living and housing. It just doesn't add up, you know. So something's got to change, you know. So so sometimes when we're doing our deal and saying what we say, I feel like kids are scratching their head going, what are these people talking about? But on the other hand, I also know that there's a, you know, maybe we educate a few people, and then I also think there's a lot of people that were raised the way we were that really identify with a band that's, you know, speaking their language from the stage, you know. I
love it, brother. Working class music, it's just, you know, I don't know, it's a shot in the arm that I need all the time, and, you know, people finally talking about issues that affect working, you know, men and women, and you guys are just carrying that torch effectively, and I only got a minute here, Ken, and I want to, before I let you go, first of all, thank you so much for being a part of this. I'm going to make a donation in your name to New Hope Incorporated for the survivors of domestic and sexual violence, and want to thank you for being a part of that. But I also want to mention, you know, most people think of the Dropkick Murphys and Ken Casey. You probably think St. Patrick's Day, you know, kind of that the Celtic side of stuff that they do. But what the hell brought you to write a Christmas song? Which, by the way, is my go-to Christmas song now. But how did the Murphys come up with that?
You know, you just after you've been around a while, you feel like, hey, we got to have a Christmas song, and I knew that like writing a serious Christmas song just wouldn't work for the nature of who we are. So we kind of wanted to write a Christmas song that was a little bit tongue-in-cheek and a little bit, you know, a little bit showing the realities of Christmas and a little bit of the darker side of Christmas. A twisted Christmas, you know. So we had fun writing that song. We had a lot of fun making the music video for that song. And you know, that's a good thing about a Christmas song. Every year it's going to come back around, and you know, I think that song's 10 plus years old, and you always have people that are just they hear about it on you know, Christmas 2023, and they think it's a brand new song. It's just come around again, you know. So. Yeah, it'll always have life, I guess, you know. I
love it. I encourage everybody to go out there and check that out now. And I got to tell you, the video is an absolute epic. That must have been a blast to make. It looks like total mayhem. So we love it, Ken, and you know, I love you and the Dropkick Murphys. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all that you do, not only the music that you create and the art that you create, but really for stepping up and doing so much for charity. And I can't thank you enough, Ken. Hope you have a great Christmas and a good New Year, my friend.
I mean, we'll match the donation ourselves from the Cloud Fund. So Merry Christmas to all you guys.
Awesome. You get the bells for that donation. I appreciate it. That was Ken Casey from the Dropkick Murphys, one of my heroes. I love the guy. And we are wrapping up. So Paul Jakes, Councilor Delisio, thank you for being here.
Thank you, and thank you for the hard work of New Hope. Fantastic organization.
Awesome. And I want to thank everybody that's been a part of this, including my staff, Keith and Bill and Shane and Maya and Corinne and everybody who's been a part of this. Jim Jones here at WARA Radio for his work, for working the board today and taking good care of us, and for the hospitality here at the studio. To all that are listening, to all that have been a part of this, it means so much that we were able to do this with your help. We've raised some money for New Hope. Right now, we're just about $3,000. We're going to continue to ring the bell and try and get them some donations. And I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to represent you not only in the state Senate, but to be a part of, the things that you and your families care about. I encourage you to reach out to me at my State House office at 617-722-1222. Hopefully that you can all take a few minutes, a few days, relax, never mind all the craziness that's going on in the world, right? Step back. I know it's tough turning on the news. You see what you see. Be grateful for what we have. Talk to your family, friends. Show them how much you love them. And, just really kind of take some time to take a breath, to be with each other, to be with family, and to be grateful for what we have, to think about the situations of others that are in need, to think about the people that we are trying to help over at New Hope and what they're going through over the holidays, and to understand that when we come together, when we work with each other, when we talk to each other instead of turning on each other, when we have those conversations with each other, when we understand our commonality, and we don't exploit divisiveness or the things that we don't have in common, when we realize that we are all in this thing together, we will be better off. So Councilor Delisio, Paul Jakes, to all of my guests that joined us today, thank you so much. We'll make this an annual thing. Again, I hope everybody has a great and happy and safe holidays and New Year. Thank you for being a part of this. This is State Senator Paul Feeney signing off from our first ever Holiday Spectacular, which I think we had a great time on. It went well. We want to thank everybody for being with us. And again, we'll do this again someday. So again, this is Paul Feeney signing off from WARA 1320 AM here in Attleboro, Massachusetts. Thank you all.